Hi, friends, and welcome to M&M Hour with our dear friend Mandy Slustker. Hi, Mandy.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course, for those of you who are like, where was our M&M Hour at the last week of the month? Well, Mandy was on vacay, and we had a major snowstorm, and we thought you were going to be stuck, and it was just a whole thing. So this month, M&M Hour is at the top of the month instead of the bottom. And how was your vacation, Mandy? No one deserved a vacation more than you, girl.
You know what? I didn't even talk about it. It's almost like I forgot it happened because this last week was so crazy with the snowstorm and all the things. Yeah. I had such a nice time. I realize it's almost like sad because the activity that I do that gives me the most joy, the most exercise, and the most like peace is something I can't do very regularly, which is snorkeling. And I love it. And I got to go every day because the hotel that we stayed at had a reef, like a really good reef, right off of the hotel.
Oh my God.
And there's just like these rocks, and it's like, okay, just like don't get yourself hit on the rocks. And so I would go like in front of the rocks. I would go behind the rocks. I saw all kinds of stuff. One day I went for so long that my friends got nervous. I didn't realize how much time had passed. And they actually came looking for me. And I was there for 90 minutes, which let me tell you, open water swimming with a current for 90 minutes, like it's a great exercise. I didn't realize that, you know?
And that's why they were worried that you drowned, because that's a long time.
Well, that's a very long time to be in water.
With
and
the current and swimming.
I just had seen every time I thought I was going to leave, there was something cooler, you know, that I saw, like this like sandfish that like, I was like, wait, there's a fish at the bottom of the sand. Is it dead? Is it no, it looks a little like, it looks kind of like a salamander type, but it's big. And it like, yeah, anyways, it was so cool. I saw a squid for the first time, like swimming. They look really cool. They have these like iridescent like flappers. And I found this, I guess I looked it up. It was a triggerfish, these like giant gray / little purpley fish with these black eyes, and they just catch you off guard because they're very large. And, you know, and I was watching it eat off of the reef. It was like trying to find what stuff was food and what stuff was rocks. And it was like spitting out the rocks and eating the food. I was just like watching it. I'm such a weirdo. This is my absolute favorite activity. No, I do not want to go diving. No, I don't want to scuba. I don't want to have to like deal with ear pressure and like oxygen issues and all of that. I just like snorkeling in a shallow reef. It brings me the most amount of joy and peace and serenity that I think I've ever had in life.
Mandy, can I tell you? So every time we talk, I find out another reason why we love each other so much. Because there was something on Bravo where they were talking about like their most like serene moments, and they were like talking about like things and it involved water. And I was like, for me, the moment where I feel most serene is also when I am snorkeling. My husband and I, now this was a while ago when we got married, we had the good fortune to be able to go to Hawaii because for us, it couldn't be further away. Like we're on the East Coast. So going to Hawaii is like a 12-hour trek. And I got to snorkel in Hawaii. And I just was like, I don't know what happens after we die, but if this, like, I would love it for it to be this, just in beautiful, warm water, looking at all this nature and these beautiful fish. And like, it also gives you an idea of how small we are. Like, it humbles us in terms of like, wow, there is so much greater than us in this world. I feel like it kind of takes you out of yourself. But living on the East Coast, you're in DC, I'm Pennsylvania. We don't get snorkeling opportunities very often. So.
No, and even in Florida, there is this one area I guess I could try, but I don't think any of the areas on the West Coast have very clear water.
No,
you know, it's just not, there's a few reefs, but it's not clear. And and then a lot of them are just not right off the ocean. So it's like you have to go on a boat, you have to take a tour. It's like a whole thing. And this was, you know, we went on a boat, we did tours, we went to Stingray City. I got to hold a stingray. It was really cool. But my favorite part was just being able to go when I wanted to go and looking at when it was high tide. So it's like, you know, the rocks weren't like just jumping out and just going and then coming back and having a coconut water where they just take a coconut and chop it with a machete.
Yep. And they put like a straw in it and you're good to go.
Good to go. I was like hydrated and exercising on this trip. Like I came back and I had lost weight. I was like, how is this possible? I ate so much food and it's so much sugar. Like I would have like a pina colada or like but man, it's so enjoyable. If anyone wants to go to Grand Cayman, I highly recommend the Kimpton Seaside. I don't know. Seafire. I think that's what it was called.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'm glad that you got to do that because I think, the state of the United States is just in such insane space that I think whatever we need to do to bring ourselves some joy and happiness, I think that's really important. Your body and your brain was probably like, girl, we feel good. Why can't we do this all the time?
I know.
It's like, well, unfortunately, we can't live on vacation. Our life can't be permanently snorkeling and all these things. But I'm really glad you enjoyed it because I've been worried about you and you definitely needed a break. And so if y'all need a break, we talked about, so on part 1 I just did Mandy's podcast on part 1. And then we talked a little bit about just trying to, life is really hard and challenging right now. So whatever brings us joy, gives us those moments of feeling like, humbled and all of that stuff. I just feel like let's take it where we can get it. And I'm glad that you got it.
There is a man who lives in my building who's been here since the beginning. The building was opened in the year 2000. He's not very well mentally, and he has these kind of conspiracies. He has his own like weird web page where he like posts conspiracies about the building. Anyways. And he'll send these emails to the listserv sometimes that are just like very odd or posts on his sort of like website blog. But I don't remember what it had to do with. But one of his posts, the paragraph started with, I am having trouble with nearly everything, so I must lower my goals. And I am telling you, that is my favorite line ever. I'm like, yes, I must lower my goals. He said, I'm having difficulty with nearly everything. Like it was like difficulty like with like fans on the roof, like things like that, like not real stuff, emotional stuff. But it was so true. He was like, I can't sleep because the fans on the roof are bothering me. And there's like, I live on the top floor too, and I don't have a fan roof issue. So
right.
But yeah, so I use that line a lot.
It's kind of funny, but also it is really true because I think that a lot of humans, what gets us in trouble is our like expectations, our unrealistic expectations of things. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate those words of wisdom from that gentleman. And I hope that he takes that because I think sometimes like one of the things that I notice on Housewives, but also it's just human nature, is we all get in our own way, like all humans do. We are all the source of our own problems. We get in our own way. And sometimes we don't realize how we do it. And I think it's really great to look at like, how much energy am I putting into X, Y, or Z? And how might I better be served in other ways? So I think that is solid advice.
It is. It's my favorite line he's ever written. Usually he's like ranting and raving, but this one was very special.
Well, good. Yes. And thank you for giving us some podcast fodder. So thank you for that. But so today, Mandy and I are going to be talking a couple things. We're going to definitely talk about Southern Charm because I feel like I had a lightning bolt where I understood what is going on with Craig and Austen. It hit me like a lightning bolt. So we're going to talk about that. We're definitely also going to talk about Potomac because there's some drama going on there. And on Mandy's podcast, oh gosh, we talked about a lot of things, but we talked Beverly Hills, we talked Salt Lake City. So, we try not to talk about the same stuff, but if you're interested in that, please check that out because it was a really great podcast. So Mandy, let's get into it. Ba-ba-doo! Southern Charm.
Man.
What did you think about this last episode and, what's been going on Southern Charm?
I loved it. I loved every second of it. I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm so interested in the characters and what's going on. I'm so interested in like the OGs versus the new guys. The fact that they had this OG dinner for Austen's birthday. I feel like Shep is just trying to keep the peace in a way that I've never seen him be so focused on trying to keep peace. Whitney chooses violence every time because he's a producer, which is why producers should not be cast characters on the show, because Austen, when him and Whitney get up to go to the bathroom and Austen starts complaining about Craig, the first thing Whitney says is, "You should tell him." And I'm like, oh my God, that is not what I would have said at all. I would have been like, yeah, I know it's really frustrating. I think we just should get through this dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I would not have said what Whitney said. So he clearly was provoking. But I think it all comes back to, and you probably have way more insight, but that Austen had a lot of things he wanted to talk about in his relationship with Craig, that he felt that he was treated unfairly. And Craig basically wouldn't let him share those things because he said, hey, I'm an alcoholic. And then it was all of a sudden all about him and all about being supportive of him. And Austen realizing, oh my God, maybe that's why we've had all these problems. Maybe it's Craig fighting for, he never said it so clearly before. And so I understand why Austen is so frustrated, because you've got this man who said, I am an alcoholic and I don't, I'm struggling. And then all of a sudden gets through a breakup and is doing shots and drinking beers and ordering all this stuff and then acting like you're making my problem about you. No, you said you were an alcoholic and you made it sound like you needed help. And then you completely ignore what you said. And Austen's like, I never got to tell you all the things I wanted to tell you so that we could move forward. I think they need like couples therapy. They need like family therapists. They need some sort of independent person to allow them to hear each other, because I bet Craig has some valid points about Austen and him maybe not, holding up his part of the deal with the podcast. He's not a hard worker, all that stuff. And then Austen certainly has a lot of things that you want to say to Craig. Now, when Craig said you've done nothing with yourself for the last 5 years, you've made nothing of yourself, that was actually probably the harshest thing I think Craig has ever said. Because Austen clearly, and I had wondered, like, what's going on with RHOP? It was a failure according to Austen. And he's like, great, now you're rubbing it in my face. You're trying to make me feel bad about something that I tried to do that did not succeed. And your pillow company, you know what I mean? He didn't say this, but it's sort of like, yeah, your pillow company is a huge success. And then my beer company did not do well. And you're trying to point out that I'm the problem and I'm the dud and I'm the failure and I'm the shitty friend. And I think Austen is fucking sick of it. And I think Craig is emotionally abusive towards Austen. That's my 2 cents.
And bloop, Mandy.
Was that your take too? Or you probably have like way more insight.
No, but that is absolutely part of my take. I think what I have insight into some psychological defenses that are going on, which I'll explain in a second, but like everything you said is so spot on. What I think upsets Austen is going back to Craig saying he was an alcoholic on the beach. Austen now realizes that he was manipulated because, and I said this from literally episode 1 of this season of Southern Charm. I'm like, hold on a second. Craig said he's an alcoholic and now he's just drinking. Why is no one talking about this? Because in my world, either that means you're relapsing and we should be talking about this, or you were lying and we should also be talking about this. And so I think that Austen has a lot of really valid feelings. And you know how Whitney talked about, and by the way, you're spot on about Whitney. And I don't understand why certain people in the Bravo sphere, Whitney and Tamra Judge, getting special treatment, like being able to do things that they shouldn't be able to do as a current cast member. I don't get that, but that's a whole other story. I think that when Craig did a cheers to toxic positivity, let's just like ignore our issues, keep it cool, whatever. And then he says to Austen, well, you haven't done anything with your life. And it's like, you just proved Austen's point that you don't want to be friends, because the second Craig gets mad at someone, he becomes emotionally abusive. The second he gets mad at them. I also think that's why he's single, to be honest, because Craig thinks that he has the right to verbally eviscerate people just because he's upset. And that is what we call a king baby.
It's wild where he was like, when he was talking to Austen, he's like, but you triggered me. Oh my God. This is also my like annoyance at, all of the modern therapy speak and
I know
how Gen Z has like weaponized a lot of it. Sorry, Gen Z. But it's like, just because like, it's okay to be triggered. Like, I know you feel differently, but I don't think there needs to be like a trigger warning in front of everything. I think like in life, you just experience things and you don't get like, life doesn't give you warnings. Like life doesn't coddle you. And you need to learn how to navigate the world, which isn't going to, I don't know, make itself easier just for you. It's not going to bend to your will. And
as Taylor Swift would say, it's not like a willow that's going to bend right to your will. Bloop. Yes.
Yep. And so I think with Craig, it's like, yes, you are triggered. That does not give you the right to react the way that you react. You can get triggered. That's okay. It's okay to get triggered. You can't scream and shout and say mean things.
No, because then that's just emotional abuse. And here is my lightning bolt take on what is going on with Austen and Craig outside of everything that we said, because everything that we said is a huge part of it. I believe that Austen and Craig are projecting their stuff onto each other. And let me explain what projection is, because I think that'll make it really clear for people. Projection in psychology is a defense mechanism where we unconsciously attribute our own unacceptable thoughts and feelings onto other people, because then that can avoid acknowledging how we might feel within ourselves. So we project that onto others. And I believe that Craig and Austen are both projecting their stuff onto one another, because Austen is looking at Craig like Austen clearly wants to be single. And now we know that Austen and Audrey have broken up. And it couldn't have been more clear at this dinner that Austen he's allergic to commitment. I believe because of his trauma when he was young. A lot of sibling loss survivors are afraid to have children. They're afraid to get married. They've seen the grief that love can cause when that love leaves. It's very complex. And I think that even though Austen's in therapy with a real therapist and not ChatGPT, it's progress, not perfection. But so Austen wants to be single. He wants to make out with Sally, which we see in the mid-season trailer that he and Sally do make out, even though he's still with Audrey, right? Austen is so jealous of Craig being single, but Craig doesn't want to be single.
Yeah.
Craig is jealous of Austen, who has this wonderful woman that Craig wants to desperately marry and have children. So they're both looking at each other, and Craig's like, well, you have what I want, but you're throwing it away. And Austen is looking at Craig like, you have what I want and you don't know what to do with it, because as Austen says, Craig's a pussy. That's what he says.
The best quality that Craig has is that he's a pussy. I love that he doesn't like sleep with people right away after dating them, or like he's so anxious that he needs to make sure that he's hooked up with someone before he asks them on a date because he's so afraid of rejection. And yeah, it's so wild. And I think that it's lovely. I think it's lovely. And they're like, oh, he's like a middle schooler. Oh, why not? Why not? That's like the most endearing part of him. Like,
Truly the most endearing part of Craig, because otherwise he's emotionally abusive. He really has a lot of issues with the truth. There's a lot of things about Craig I do not enjoy. This one that they're giving him a hard time about is like so sweet. It's like,
it's so sweet.
It's gaslighting Craig, because it's like he just got out of this relationship with Paige. It's almost like he's scared. He's like a scared kid. Like, I don't know how to do this, because he's always dated with the intent to partner, to couple, to mate, to marry, to have children. And one of the things I say, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is that Charleston culture ruins people's lives by making them feel that if you do not have a partner, if you do not mate for life at a young age and have children, you are doing something wrong. It is like the societal thing in Charleston. I think it has everybody messed up. I think that's the underlying issues for Sally, for Austen, for Craig. Like, Craig wants that, but then it's like, it's this pressure because he's trying to make things work that just don't work. Austen doesn't want it, but he keeps getting women who want it and are attracted to him. And Sally is like desperately looking for it. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah, I do feel that Craig has always wanted this. And I think he in his mind had a timeline in his head. And that timeline has not been realized. And it's bothering him because, and it makes sense, right? Like the older you are, the less time you have with your kids and the less chance there is to see them have kids and be able to be with I get it. Like you want to do it younger. It's better to do it a little younger. As someone who missed the boat on that, like I get it. But, he also chooses women that are very strong and also have their own ideas. And then he wants them to kind of bend to his will and they don't, and it doesn't work. And so, I do hope that he is able to like take stock of like, what is it that he's looking for? What is it that he wants? And some people marry to have kids, like some people, and it works for them because what they want and what their partner wants are the same thing. And so they're like together working towards that goal. And he's just looking for that. I think with Austen, he's realizing that maybe this isn't what he wants. Mm-hmm. And I didn't appreciate what his mom was saying. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just because like I'm in a position where I'm like not able to have kids.
Right.
And so like this pressure of like, if you don't do it, you'll like, everything is terrible kind of a thing. And putting that pressure on him, she's like, it's the best thing I ever did. And he's like, that's great. I'm so happy for you. Just to allow people to have their own choices. I think she thinks she knows him better than he does. And maybe she's right because she's his mom and that he really does want this, but he's too scared to get there. Mm-hmm. And she wants him to like really think about it. But I don't know. There were a few things that she said, which I did not write down, which made me a little bit like, ooh, like uncomfortable.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So I did address that in my interpretations on Instagram because here's my take on it. And so I lost my ability to have children also due to ovarian cancer. So you and I think it's good that we state that because our perspective is certainly informed by our experience, right? We do have to say that. My take was that Austen's mother knows her son well enough to understand that the trauma of losing Kyle has created this trauma response, which what I said in my interpretations is that, and we talked a little bit about on your podcast, sibling loss survivors, because of the complicated grief and the trauma that they experience, sometimes they have fear around having children and getting married because there's a million reasons for that. I got the sense that his mom wasn't so much preaching about having children because I agree that being child-free, whether you lost your ability to procreate or not, it's a perfectly reasonable choice. Having children is not for everybody, and society needs to get the fuck over that. If that's what you want, great. But if that's what you also don't want, also great. No problem. I think his mom sees how this trauma impacted his phobia of commitment, and she wants him to know that if she had let her fear guide her, they may not have had Katie.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wish she said that.
Sure.
I wish she said it that way.
Yeah. And who knows? With editing, maybe she did. But certainly the way that it was presented, I could understand where people thought, but that's what I took from it.
You're likely right. Yeah.
She was saying grief and joy can coexist. Please, let's not forget that. And I did feel that in my soul because I think that, Austen's parents, one of the things that I noticed is that he was talking about them, joking, kind of being booked and busy despite being retired. And the one thing that I'll say about people who lose children is they are made of tough stuff. And
if they stay together, that is like, whoo.
And it told me that these two people not only are made of tough stuff, but I bet their approach to life helped them cope along the way, which is living your life, going out, doing things, not allowing grief to turn your heart to stone, to keep you inside your mind, body, and soul. And I think that's what she's trying to tell Austen. And I could be wrong. I thought that was
I think
my
you're
take
right.
on what she's
I think,
trying to
especially
tell him.
because she is such a kind, non-judgmental woman, like from everything that we've seen. She's also beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Her and Katie, her and Katie look so much alike. It's so sweet that like she has this daughter that just is her, kind of like it's just.
Yeah.
And I love that they got those tattoos. And
oh my God, I cried and cried and cried when I watched that scene, just because it's just so sweet. It's just so lovely and beautiful and sad all at the same time. Like, to realize that Kyle would have been 40. It's grief is just such a wild animal, because it just never stops being, I mean, you know this, losing your mom, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's like it never stops being hard. There's these milestones that you think this person should have reached. There's, thinking about how my life might have been different if these people were still here. And so I love that Austen is being vulnerable and talking about this, because I think this helps people. But B, imagine how different their life would have been if they let grief lead them and they didn't have Katie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just such a good discussion about grief and complicated grief and sibling loss. I just am really appreciating all of that.
I just love that family. The other thing that I know, I don't know if it's like statistically true, but of the people I know that have lost children, especially children like when I was young and a child my age was lost, a lot of those parents divorced. And I think a huge part of it is that they handle grief differently. And it's really hard when you handle it differently than someone else, because you feel like you can't relate. Because dealing with grief is like, you're like, well, I have this partner, at least we've gone through this together. And if, even just losing my mom, my brother handled it differently. My dad didn't want like anyone to mention it. He said he didn't want to feel people's pity. I was like, oh, please feel pity for me. I have no home and I have no mother.
Yeah.
Like, can someone acknowledge it? Like, thanks.
Right.
And whereas my dad was a complete opposite, doesn't want to talk about it at certain times. It just a very different. It doesn't want to honor it the same way. He has different ways of honoring. And then sometimes I resent it, where I'm like, well, mom would want this, and it's like,
Right.
Well, okay, that's what I think, but like he was married to her, and.
Right. And this is the thing, Mandy, none of your perspectives are wrong. They're just your own feelings and perspectives.
Yeah, but everyone has their own. And if it doesn't match up, or you don't learn to give each other different space, another like really interesting, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but when I was a child, I was very young. There was a boy who was abducted from a town in like rural Minnesota. And it became a national thing, but it was a very, very big deal in Minnesota. His name was Jacob Wetterling. And it changed everyone in Minnesota, because it changed. We kind of had this thing where like you would get to go out and play in the neighborhood and then come home when night fell. And he was in like the safest place, and he was riding bikes, and he was with, I think, a sibling and a friend. And that's when he got abducted. And the case was actually solved 10 years ago, which is absolutely crazy. But I listened to a podcast about it. It's a very fascinating and terrifying story. Yeah. But the parents never moved, because they always were like, if he were to come back, and they left their porch light on. And so people would leave their porch lights on in honor of Jacob. And his mom became this. What she did is she put everything into like not just finding him, but advocating. So she was a very big advocate in the Minnesota House and Senate for laws for child safety. I don't know if it was the father, but he like started taking calls from like psychics who would say like, we see him at Disney World. And do you know what I mean? Like the parents handled it like very differently. And if you've one that's like holding on to hope and one that's like kind of accepting the loss, like it's just, it's so hard to stay married. When people do, and this couple is still married. And I'm sorry for bringing it up. It is very emotional. It's like Jacob Wetterling was like a huge part of every Minnesotan's childhood who is from Gen X or like a millennial.
Yeah.
And my mom met his mom during an advocacy day, like for like, protecting kids. And anyways, I think it's a big deal that Austen's parents stay married. It is like a monumental, difficult thing to do. And it shows that they have a lot of grace and space for each other to have their own responses. and that they both agreed to like, let's try and have another child. That happened. And then, and even then that doesn't fix things, right? Like, I just think it's so amazing that they're still together. And sorry for telling that story.
No, here's the thing. Here's why she's apologizing. If you're not watching the video, it's because I am crying. When you said, when you started talking about them keeping the lights on, I was just like, oh God.
And we would do it across Minnesota on the anniversary of when he was taken. Every single person left their porch lights on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm crying, and I'm just. But no, don't be sorry for telling the story. I think it is such a good example of how navigating raising children and losing children, and your point of them staying together is such a good one, because even here's the thing with my chronic incurable cancer, a lot of people who have the type of cancer I have, the divorce rate is super high.
Yes.
Because it's similar concept in terms of like, how does your partner cope with the fact that I can no longer do a lot of things that I used to be able to do, that, my husband worries about my survival. But I think the point remains is that when you're married to someone and you have a major tragedy, a major issue, it's easy for that to tear people apart. But to keep it together, those are the people who really are doing, his parents need to do stuff individually and as a couple to continue to make that work. And I think it's important. And they do.
She's got her pickleball thing, and she's got mahjong, and he's golfing.
Right.
This sounds amazing.
That's why it's important to be stated that how we cope and what we choose to do, even with those relationships, matters. So, we did go off on a little tangent, but thank you. And I appreciate you. No, and I love for you to say his name, and I encourage people to, look that up.
His mother is Patty Wetterling. Please look her up. She is a champion for children.
Yeah.
Absolute champion. She got laws changed so that the different counties actually started sharing information about registered sex offenders across county lines. And so it was like if he was taken to the next county, there was no way to find. It was crazy, the amount of ineptitude that the police and all that had back. This was in the late 80s.
Right.
And so a lot of things were changed. And the fact that she was able to take it and put it into other kids, so other families could.
Right. And those are the people who I really admire. They turn their pain into purpose. They turn their grief into love, into advocating for other children. And I think going back to this that's what Austen's mom was trying to do, I think.
No, I hear you. And I see it now. And I take back what I said about Austen's
No, you don't need to take it back.
him feel guilty.
Because, the point still remains that being child-free is a perfectly acceptable choice. And to put a pin in this issue and to kind of support your point is that it's hard for sibling loss survivors to figure out, is this a trauma response or is this what I really want?
Yeah.
That's what's hard. And so for anyone navigating that, just know that we send you so much love. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And all we can do is do our best. So before we go to Real Housewives of Potomac, was there anything else from Southern Charm that stuck out to you or that you wanted to mention?
I just think it's really weird on the after show, which I haven't watched this week's after show, that Molly and Sally are put together, because I feel like Molly is constantly kind of saying not nice things about Sally, which I agree with, and I feel like she's being very honest. So I'm like, what happens during the second half of the season that makes it so that the best person for Sally to film the after show with is Molly? I'm very curious about what happens during this second half.
That's such a good point, but here's the issue. So when on Watch What Happens Live, Charlie and Sally, whenever they're guesting, the other one is in the audience. And this has now happened 3, maybe 4 times. They never go on without the other one being in the audience. And so that is confusing people, because it's well, wait, you guys are feuding or whatever, but now all of a sudden you're like the Bobbsey twins and you can't be anywhere without the other person. So there are, to your point, there are interesting dynamics here that I can't wait to see where we're at the end of the season. Because I feel like there's puzzle pieces missing, to your point. Like,
I'm so
what is happening?
Confused.
Yeah, and just seeing like the preview of like Sally and Austen. And here's the thing. I will never forget this because I was watching Watch What Happens Live, and this was before we saw the preview of Austen and Sally making out. Sally literally told the audience on Watch What Happens Live, I cannot believe more people didn't talk about this. She goes, y'all thought I was going hard for Craig? Well, just wait to see how hard I go for Austen. Literally, she basically said, I didn't even care about Craig, but she was willing to buy chickens, 5 animals, and a coop to please a man she didn't even really want. And she was basically like, I really want Austen, and wait until you all see how I go about that. And I'm like, why are you acting like this is some sort of a flex?
She says weird things on Watch What Happens Live that don't always end up adding up. So like at the end of last season, she was like, well, I just had dinner with Craig in New York, or like something like that, or that came out of Watch What Happens Live. And when Craig told the story, he was like, yeah, and I was with like my business partner and like my other friend. Like she joined us for dinner. It wasn't like me and her and candlelights, you know? So she exaggerates in also the same way that Craig does. So they actually would be great together. And they both want the same things. Like, I'm like, why can't you guys be together? Yes. She'll raise the chickens. She'll move into that in Craig's house. She'll like make it so that he doesn't drop eggs on the carpet in his kitchen.
Yeah. She'll apparently buy farm animals for a man she doesn't even like. That is so wild to me. Sally is one of these people that it's like, she is so desperate in terms of her search to mate, marry, and have children because she feels incomplete if she doesn't do that, that it's like turning her sour to me. Like, I want to like Sally. I don't think she's a bad. I just think that her kind of like boy craziness makes her do things that are gross. Like, I understand humans make mistakes and sometimes cheating happens, but it's gross to me. Like, Audrey deserves better than that from both of them. From both of them, dude. Come on.
Is there any part of you that feels like it's not as bad as they're making it out to be? Like, maybe it was like a truth or dare, and like maybe he had his like thumbs in front of her, eat her lips, you know, like the fake kissing where you're just like,
no,
you know, like, no. Okay, you really
there's
think it's
no
real.
part of me that thinks that. Not at all. Now, listen, it could have been a truth or dare thing, but they were really kissing. I saw that with my own eyes, number one. And number two, if I went to a party and was like, I kissed somebody else because it was truth or dare, my husband would be like, are you fucking serious?
Okay, yes. That does sound crazy. I'm also wondering, like, maybe he thought they broke up, or like they had a conversation where things weren't good and he took it as a
like
breakup
a
and she took it as a
thing?
Yes. That's what I actually think is the most likely scenario because of how poorly Austen communicates. And Audrey doesn't seem to be a great communicator either, because she doesn't bring up things that I think she's been thinking for a while. And so when she told him, and we didn't see this, but he just recounts, when you talk about the future, you say I a lot. You never really say we. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that she's probably been thinking that for a while and holding it. Yeah.
I could tell with the scenes with Audrey that she is afraid to bring things up, but she'll hint and she'll wait for his response. And in reality, she is the perfect person for Austen, because someone like me would never jive with Austen, where it's like, listen, what are we doing here? Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush with things, but Audrey will. Because again, I think Southern women are taught, don't speak your feelings, be sweet, kind, and obey. I kind of think sometimes that's Southern messaging. Not, I don't want to paint a whole brush, but you know what I'm saying. And so I think that Audrey, like, that's why she's kind of perfect for him, and how this has all played out for them, where neither of them are being honest with each other or themselves.
Yeah.
No one
and
is
she
just
might be
saying the truth.
She might be that much younger where she's not on the same timeline. Like, she doesn't feel like her clock is ticking, so she's not as in a rush.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. I don't think she understood, because Austen wasn't communicating to her. She didn't understand that, like, he just doesn't want this. It was like with Paige and Craig. Like, Craig was not understanding that Paige was like no longer really wanting this. And I feel like, that's kind of the same for them. But listen, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, to see what goes on, TBD on that. So before we lose too much time, let's move on to, there was one issue that I really wanted to address with Real Housewives of Potomac. And when you and I talked about it, you weren't even aware that this was happening. So
No.
after the last episode where we see Angel's business debacle of, clearly there was very poor planning. And by the way, I was podcasting with Amy Phillips and we were talking about this. I was like, I felt anxiety.
I felt so much anxiety watching them go in the wrong direction. I was like losing my fucking mind. I'm like, Angel, stop. You should know where you're going. You should know this well enough. If you don't feel good about it, you fucking turn around. You turn around.
Call someone, do something.
I don't think they had service. I think that's the whole problem. Right. It was like they had a pin drop and they were going towards the pin drop. I was like, that's not good. No. You should have ways, and ways can lose service, but it'll still take you the way that it was going to take you from when you had service.
Right. Because the one thing that I talked about is I live in kind of like a rural area of Northeast PA. And there are times where I am in the boonies that Google Maps does not work. It does not function.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It'll tell me something that I know is not right. And the only reason I know that is because I know the area. I think that, but okay, so I don't want to get off track, but here's what happens. So we see this debacle, which it did make me actually really feel upset because it's all of the labor of the chef and the people setting things up and all of that I was just like, dude, this was a waste of everyone's time. It was so frustrating. But what happened was Bravo fans went and flooded Angel's business with 1-star reviews. And I think that is the shittiest thing on planet Earth. But here's what I want to say about that. There are people in the Bravo fandom that feel so entitled to, if they don't like you, they feel entitled to tear you down. To flood her business, her livelihood with 1-star reviews because you watch something on TV is psychotic. Mm-hmm. It is mean girl behavior. It is, and it wasn't just 1-star reviews. It was like these long, they wrote about like, I watched this on Potomac and blah, blah, blah. And it's
like detailed reviews, like my dad's reviews of headlamps.
What?
My dad writes like very detailed reviews and he'll be like, oh my God. He wrote to like this one restaurant that they took this tilapia off the menu, and he wrote to like the head of the restaurant and said, I have searched my entire life for this perfect tilapia, and I found it in Maple Grove, Minnesota at Houlihan's, and you took it away from me. And he'll like go out of his way to say how amazing it is and how So when he like leaves a review on Google, because he really likes headlamps for some reason, and he likes the ones where it's like not like you're a coal miner kind of a thing. You don't have a hat on. You just like put it on. You can see, and he's like, it has targeted light. It has light that goes in beam. It has flashing light. It has different color light. He's so funny. He's so helpful in his reviews because he's very detailed.
Imagine if your dad was like, because he's an amazing, wonderful person. If he used that
detailed,
power for
he's
evil,
very detailed.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like these people are using this for evil. Like those are great when you want to advocate for yourself or tell someone how good something is.
Oh, really when he finds a product that he feels strongly about, he will go to the ends of the earth. Oh, he'll just buy it for you and send it to you without you knowing. So that's what happened when AirPods first came out. The first ever AirPods, my dad knew they were coming out. He got them, and then he bought them for every other person in the family. And we thought that the regular plug-in headphones were just fine back in whatever year that was. And we all got these AirPods. We're like, what on earth? He goes, you will thank me later.
And you have. And you all have, Mandy. That man
goes,
is an
so
oracle.
Smart. It'll fit in any ear. I'm like, what, Dad?
I love your dad so much. It's crazy.
He's insane.
But that is hilarious. But these people are doing that level, but like to troll. And it's like, so, but here's the thing. This is what people do to me too, which is, I'm just being candid about, I'm probably like having a reaction to this because so what people do is they don't know me. They don't listen to this podcast, but I've blocked them on Instagram or something has happened. And what people do is they take any shred of power and control and they assert it in ways that they don't realize make them an asshole. That's an asshole thing to do. So people, and here's the thing, when someone does a review that's like paragraphs long, it's always about something else, right? So when people leave me these bad reviews, they're always like dissertations in how I'm a terrible person, which is how it's kind of just like, they didn't like one thing that I said. They don't listen to the podcast. They definitely don't support me. But they're just like, oh, well, this bitch blocked me on Instagram, so fuck her.
It's a shitty thing to do. It's shitty. I didn't like when they did it to Tom Sandoval and like Schwartz and Sandy's. Like, if you haven't tried those corn dogs at Schwartz and Sandy's and you haven't tried those drinks, then do not make, don't do it.
No, don't.
Even if you're mad at someone, it's just not helpful. There's so many other people involved in the business.
Exactly.
It's not just about that one person.
Just Angel and Bobby. It's that chef. It's the woman who we saw setting things up. Like we talked about on your podcast, when it comes to production and making a show, it literally takes a village. The Bravo talent, they're like one iota of the whole picture that makes these shows great. And I feel like there's a sense of humility when it comes to understanding that it takes a village to make a restaurant great or a show or whatever. And when you're doing these things, you're hurting the other people involved with that one person. And I can't imagine how distraught Angel has been. And now listen, I'm not an Angel fan, but you can't just do that. And also if you didn't participate in any of the outings, you can't know by watching something on TV. That's just insane.
No, totally. The thing that I was very frustrated by with Angel, and this is actually one of my biggest pet peeves, and I feel bad because a number of people who have ADHD and executive functioning issues have this trait, but it is one of my bigger pet peeves, is when you cannot calculate how long it will take to do something so that you can't figure out how much time is needed for a given activity.
Right.
People who are like, oh yeah, like it just takes 10 minutes to get there. And you're like, well, maybe 10 minutes when there's no traffic and 3 a.m, but like, it's not really a 10-minute thing. It's more of a 37-minute drive, and like, then now I'm going to be 27 minutes late because do you know what I mean? Or people are like, oh, be there at 7 and then you get in the shower at 6:56. Like,
which
that
Mandy,
kind of stuff.
By the way, that was a Lisa Hochstein issue. Do you remember? She finally admitted she was either diagnosed with ADHD or something like that, but she realized because she had some executive functioning issues, she was constantly late because she wasn't adding in, like, to your point, how long it takes her to get ready and then how long it's going to take to get to where she needs to go in traffic or whatever it is. Yes.
And I have a very good friend that he has this problem, and he also has ADHD, and I feel bad, like, because it's something that your brain like is unable to like work a certain way. So I feel bad that that's my pet peeve, but it's just like, no. Like, okay, Angel, if the flight takes off at this time, you have to work backwards. So what time do we need to get to the airport? How long does it take to get to the airport from the place? Let's work backwards. Maybe we have to wake up at 6 a.m. Do you know what I mean? Like, to do the activity.
The other thing that bugged me was how close is the site of what you're doing to the airport, right?
Yes.
That's another part of it.
That's what I'm saying. How long from the site to the airport? Is it a 2-hour drive? Well, then if you have to be at the airport at 5 p.m. and you or your flight takes off at like 5:30 and you want to get at least an hour and a half before, that's like, 4 o'clock. Okay, then it takes 2 hours. So then you need to leave the site by 2 p.m. And they're still driving at like 1:13 p.m. And I'm just like, you're never going to get to do this activity. It's not working. Stop. And why did she choose a site that she was not familiar with? Like, that really irritated me. Like, she says that she does this stuff, but does she? Is this a brand new business? Like, maybe she just didn't have all her ducks in a row. And she couldn't have known that the house like wasn't going to work out and that they were all going to go back to Denver and stay at the Four Seasons. but why would you choose a house that was, and maybe there's production involved in this in some way, but that was an hour and a half away from your house.
Right.
Like maybe that's not stay at your house if not everyone's going to stay at your house, and find, like, why not just stay overnight in Aspen? Like, why not just go to a part of Colorado that like has things to do all in the same place?
All in the same. And I think to your point is that, listen, Angel's human. Perhaps she has some, ADHD, ADD, executive functioning issues.
Executive functioning problem, yeah.
What I'll say is that there's too many instances of these things happening over and over that it tells me that she is a part of the problem, right? Sometimes.
Oh, she is the problem. Yes.
Well, I'm trying.
She's the problem. I was angry at her for doing this to other people. And I know that she didn't mean to, but by her not thinking, the part that bothers me is that she's like, I know I'm a good planner. I know I have amazing, like she'll like say the thing that she can't do. Like, you have not been able to show that you can plan a trip and that you can care for other people's comfort. And then you're like, well, I know I'm amazing and I know I'm good at this. And it's like, no, honey, stop doing that. You're bad at this.
That's a defense mechanism.
I don't like her defense mechanisms. Her defense mechanisms annoy the shit out of me.
And that's fair. I think that Angel is incapable of being able to be honest about her limitations, because I think she kind of like does this defense mechanism thing where she just kind of overcompensates and tries to pretend that she has it all together, instead of being able to admit and acknowledge, oh, I don't have this all together. And therefore, there's better outcomes that come from accountability and awareness. And she's just not having that. And you're right. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's just not acceptable. It made for, a terrible trip for the ladies. I think watching it was hard for all of us. And so I understand like why people felt angry and why I felt angry, you felt angry. But again, it's like we have to remember these parasocial relationships. We don't know Angel. We've not participated in her outings. Things are edited.
Yeah, no, I would never leave a mean review, but I'm watching it and I'm judging. I'm judging her.
Oh, sure.
I'm judging all of it. I'm like, you don't even really want to be on the show. You just wanted to launch your business. You did a poor job of it. You won't ever admit when you make mistakes. Right. When you do admit it, you admit it too late. Mm-hmm. You do it late and you're not thinking about other people and their well-being. Just the fact that she was willing to split up and have certain people at her house and certain people an hour and a half away, like, unless production was like, this has to be this way, I would be so mad. Like, don't do that. Why would you do that? That's shitty.
Yeah, the reason I have problems with Angel, it's the same problems I have with Lisa and Meredith on Salt Lake City. It's just like when humans are incapable of taking accountability and owning their shit, for people who do that on a regular basis, it's exhausting and it's gross. It's just gross to watch. That's one reason I can't stand Lisa and Meredith on Salt Lake, because it's like you have to understand the role you play in your own problems, take accountability, take ownership. And when people can't do that, it's just going to bug us because we're people who can't do that.
Yeah. And then when she said, I think at some point this episode about how she doesn't like hold on to things, like she can move forward. She said something like it. And I was like, you held on. Where? I'm trying to remember. She said something about like,
I'm saying to her, like, where have you done that?
Never. She held on to like the catfish thing forever. And then when people ask questions about her relationship, she's like, my man pampers me. My man, Bobby, we were looking for a house. We wanted $7 million. I have all this. It's like Amanda France says, like, you're fronting. You don't need to say all of this stuff. It actually means that you have less than what people who have don't need to talk that way.
Which, by the way, we see a preview. I don't know if you saw this for the Potomac
Probably
reunion.
Not. I haven't clearly seen anything.
All right. Well, let me tell you, Mandy, I saw a preview for Potomac reunion and Andy mentions it all with Eddie and Wendy and all of this legal stuff here. So number one, I'm super interested to watch that. But number two, the thing that I noticed, and by the way, so Amy and I this week are going to be covering Karen Huger's interview that she does with Andy. But what I saw in the preview was Karen came into this reunion like she didn't skip a beat. And I have a real issue with that because if you have just gotten a DUI, you just got out of jail, what I would expect is some sort of humility from someone that they don't know at all. If you've been humbled by life, if life has like bitch slapped you in the face, you are going to come in a different way. And Karen came in hot and she took the opportunity.
Wait, Karen's she's in the reunion?
In the reunion, honey bunny.
But she wasn't in the season.
Yeah. That's the other
Maybe
problem
do they bring her out for like a few hours or like 1 hour or something in one segment, and then they just make that seem like it's because it's like there's no sense for her to like be talking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like why is Karen here? These are consequences of your actions, and I don't understand. So that's a good point. I don't know if she's there at the whole thing, but she's definitely there at the reunion, which I don't like at all. I don't like any of it, and I'm like, who are you to throw shade at people about doing something illegal?
Oh, she throws shade at Wendy?
Yeah.
Oh, because she's so pissed at Wendy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
got it. Okay, I'm missing everything.
Well, when our brains, nervous systems, and the world is on fire, you tend to miss stuff.
Yeah, and I just wasn't
Who cares? Doesn't matter.
I wasn't on Instagram yesterday.
And good for you. Don't be on Instagram. But so I can't wait until we get to see this reunion. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm going to, like I said, have a magnifying glass when Karen does her interview with Andy. And I, of course, am going to mention it all. And I will be able to tell you if Karen, I think, is, on the right path or the wrong path. And I just can't wait to really talk about it because this whole thing has me very annoyed. In case you can't tell. But Mandy, thank you so much for being here. I love our M hours. They're my favorite time of the month.
Me too.
So please tell everyone where they can find part 1 and find you.
So you can find part 1 of M Hour on my podcast, Is This Real Life with Mandy Slustker, which you can find anywhere you listen to podcasts. And it comes out on Sunday mornings. And you can find me at Mandy Slustker on Instagram. I'm also on Threads. Don't really know how to use it, but I'm there.
Outside of Instagram,
I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever you send to me and my feed is sort of, I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, didn't know about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's sending me things. I don't know how to search for anything, and I don't know how to find friends. Yeah. But yeah, I'm there too.
We're trying. Listen, Mandy, we're trying, and that's all that matters. So yes, please check out Mandy. And of course, honestly, with us talking about these reviews, these people are out there, and they are the reason that my reviews have gone down. So please, if you can, give Mandy and I both 5-star reviews. And if you can, also write something nice, because just the review, sometimes it doesn't, when you write a comment, it kind of goes to the top of your page and things like that. So if you could do that for us, y'all, we would really appreciate it. And of course, check me out, RHOBH Therapist. Check me out on Patreon. Mandy, if you want to see me cry during this interview, Patreon has full video.
And if you listen to this entire podcast and you don't like us, you have a problem. It's not us, it's you. You spent over an hour listening to people that you don't like. You're fucked up. Okay? Sorry. I just had to say that because every once in a while, people listen to my podcast and they clearly hate me. And I'm like, that is crazy. If you don't like me, turn my voice off. Weirdo.
Truly, I
masochist.
People, if you don't like me, please do better things with your time. Truly, do something that makes you happy, makes you joyful, serves you.
Go snorkeling.
Go snorkel. Go to the Caymans. But just like, don't rage bait or rage listen to things that you hate that make you mad. Do something that makes you happy. That's our PSA for today. So...
And sorry, I'm just like, it's so crazy that people would listen.
I know. But
hey, listening is weird. You need help. And I'm saying that as someone that gets help.
We all get help. But here's the thing. We go to therapy to get help for the people around us that don't go to therapy. So
that's true.
But thank you sincerely to our community who loves Mandy, who loves me, who loves M&M Hour. We know that there's more love than there is hate. It's just sometimes it's very loud. And so we need our supporters to have our back and advocate for us. And so that's all we're asking. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for listening. Mandy, I can't wait till next M&M Hour. Ta-ta for now, y'all. Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your RHOBH therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.